In astrology, Chiron represents your biggest wound, your most tender and vulnerable part of yourself. It is also, however, the key to healing and self-actualization. In this video, I'm going to take Chiron through 12 zodiac signs and give you some insights and tips on working with this placement. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you enjoy my content, please take a few seconds to show your support by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. It helps my channel grow, encourages the YouTube algorithm to show my content to more people. I feel happy, you feel happy, everybody wins. Additionally, before we talk about Chiron, if you have big questions, if you're trying to understand your chart or feeling lost in life, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I have a few options. You can do a natal chart reading, a predictive reading, or a relationship consultation. Additionally, on my website in the shop section, you can find a variety of products I create. For example, this is the Exalted Venus candle, my latest creation. It highlights the powerful Venus in Pisces, the sign of exaltation. It is green, the color of Venus. It's decorated with aquamarine stones, the stone of Venus. And it is powerful for improving your romantic life, helping you find connection, helping you find harmony, ease, and even helping you get inspired. I carefully select the times and work with specific windows where the planets are empowered and are placed in the most beneficial position. So in this video, we're going to talk about Chiron, and it's important to first understand what Chiron is before taking it through all 12 zodiac signs. So astronomically, Chiron is a small body that orbits the sun, once considered to be an asteroid. Now it's classified more as a minor planet or a comet. Astrologically, Chiron is connected to your deepest wounds and healing potential, as well as your healing gifts. So in Greco-Roman myth, Chiron was a centaur who was a powerful teacher and a healer. Yet one day, while he was teaching Hercules how to fire a poisonous arrow, he shot himself in the foot. And because he was immortal, he couldn't die, so he had to live for a while suffering. And the way he healed himself or transcended his wound was sacrificing himself for Prometheus, who was the Titan that stole fire from the gods, brought it down to earth, and he was tied to a rock, and his liver was eaten out every day. So Chiron sacrifices himself. He gifts his life to Prometheus. So the message behind Chiron is a lot of times that we heal it by self-sacrifice. We heal it by working with it and by helping other people. And only by helping other people we understand what it's like to help ourselves. It's interesting that even Chiron's symbol looks like a key, so it literally has that potential to help you unlock your healing, to help you heal other people as well. So let's talk about Chiron through the 12 zodiac signs, describe it, and give you some tips. First of all, if you are born with Chiron in Aries, the wound here is connected to self-image and confidence. Sometimes people born with this placement have gone through a lot. They have maybe struggled asserting themselves. They have struggled understanding themselves. They have had people next to them that maybe didn't allow them to be fully themselves. So, you know, there is a lot of self-doubt that may be present with Chiron and Aries, a lot of like insecurity, but then in the way of trying to overcome it, you perhaps are trying to wear a mask and you're trying to actually look like a very kind of strong and impenetrable type person. But in reality, other people are quite likely to see through that front and understand that you're struggling and that you are vulnerable. You may struggle with this placement also with expressing anger. It might be a little bit difficult to get the levels right. Like once again, either you are, hiding your anger, repressing it, and then it backfires, or you're just like exploding randomly and end up like hurting people around you. So it's really kind of, and like another manifestation of this could be perhaps like struggle to when to be blunt, when to be direct versus when to not say certain things. And I think that's another big question that you're trying to work with in this lifetime. The gift that you possess, one of your gifts, is that really powerful cheerleading ability. Even though you doubt yourself, even though you feel vulnerable yourself, you can be really great at helping other people see themselves and appreciate themselves and sort of take them for who they are. So you're a really good cheerleader for other people. And by cheering on other people, you are actually working with your own wounds and you're actually healing yourself. So part of your journey has to do with self-acceptance, and by helping other people accept yourself, you also help yourself. So the healing remedy here is definitely practicing self-acceptance and doing things that make you feel comfortable and secure, starting with like wearing clothes that are both comfortable but also make you feel like you wear an armor and they're like protective of you. Learning to empower others and believing that your words also apply to yourself. Speaking positively to yourself, saying sort of affirmations, reminding yourself of all the gifts and talents you already have, and working through the insecurity step by step can actually help you become a powerful pioneer and healer of other people. And if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. We can talk about your Chiron and all of your other placements and give you some insights and tips on what those mean. Next, we have people born with Chiron in Taurus. So with Chiron in Taurus, the wound has to do with self-value and self-worth. Sometimes these people may struggle with believing that they're worthy of love or of financial rewards, of recognition. There's perhaps in childhood they may have dealt with some kind of, like being deeply sensitive. They may have encountered a wounding character or somebody who wasn't accepting of who they are, or somebody who gave them validation very sort of conditionally. So they have learned to believe that their worth is very much like based on something. So they will go above and beyond to hold on to things in their life. A lot of times they may be in positions of being stuck in relationships that are not healthy out of fear of losing someone. They may be afraid of change, right? Because change makes them very uncomfortable. All these people want a lot of times is like stability, but stability might be very evasive, at least early in life. It might get better later on. But the lesson here is very much learning to find peace within, learning to become your own source of validation, learning to become an island upon oneself, right? Very sort of autonomous and happy and take good care of yourself, like starting with food, making sure you eat healthy and you don't go sort of swing from like overindulging to not eating at all. So like learning to take care of your body could be very healing for you. Treating yourself, right? Like creating an environment around yourself, creating a budget if finances is something you're struggling with. Finances can definitely be something that maybe you like really give good advice, but also kind of struggling to maintain. And that is quite natural, I think, because money is quite tied to self-worth. If you don't feel worthy of asking for a raise, then your finances will suffer. Or if you spend money in order to soothe yourself, your finances might suffer. So like learning to have better rituals and routines around finances, around your body, around your diet and health is quite important here. And then also finding outlets for your self-expression, right? Taurus is a very creative sign, so you may enjoy writing. And also, if you don't feel valued or worthy, or you're struggling with self-belief, create universes in which you can ascribe qualities, ascribe self-confidence to people, right? And by putting your thoughts on a piece of paper, you can also work through your confidence issues. Some of your gifts have to do with making other people feel secure. You are likely someone who is quite trustworthy and reliable, right? Just because that's something you crave in others, maybe don't always get, but that means that you are this person. So you can really be very good at making other people feel secure and grounded and calm and collected. So as you take care of others, you learn how to take care of yourself, and you do figure out the good way to balance things out. If you are looking for some additional help, I highly recommend my Exalted Venus candle, because as a Taurus Chiron, this is a Venus-ruled Chiron, so creating more pleasure, joy, beauty in your life can be beautiful and magical. And if you want to know more, if you have questions about your chart, do not hesitate to book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Next, we have those born with Chiron in Gemini. And here the wound is connected to communication and connection. So Gemini is a Mercury-ruled sign. It's the sign that is highly communicative. It's the sign that is highly curious and expressive. And so with this type of placement, you may be someone who comes from the family environment or from the early childhood where you didn't get a chance to speak, or you didn't feel heard and understood, right? And that could be not because your parents were mean, right? Or consciously like try to stifle your voice, but maybe it's because you moved around a lot and you had to learn new languages, or you had to like try to fit in with other people. Or maybe because your family didn't quite respect your opinion, and so you had to be quiet. You had to sort of, not express yourself. And so as a result, with Chiron and Gemini, there could be a lot of doubt surrounding your knowledge, surrounding your words and self-expression. Other people are quite likely to see you as a very curious and eloquent and smart communicator, but you might not see it within yourself. So what you're learning with this placement is you're learning to speak even if you feel uncomfortable. You're learning to write even if you don't feel fully confident in your ideas. You're learning to value your talents. Even, with this placement in terms of healing, like if you doubt yourself, take a writing class, work on perfecting your skills. Meditate. Meditation could be powerful with this placement as well. So some other problems with this placement could be a little bit more chaos in the mind and maybe struggles to get your thoughts organized. So once again, highly, highly recommend meditation. That self-doubt when it comes to the mind. In meditation, you can practice saying positive affirmations, potentially. Asking ideas, do not hesitating to ask ideas could be very important. Gemini, being a Mercury-ruled sign, sometimes gets also tied to like sibling-like relationship, neighbor relationship. And so you may also run into issues with siblings or neighbors. Maybe those are the people you're trying to fit in or belong with, but not quite feeling heard or understood. The lesson is very much like trying to become a source of validation for yourself instead of trying to get approval from other people, because that's another, I think, the wound of Gemini is like feeling, Gemini Chiron is like feeling that other people don't understand you, but they also don't know what to say. Like you may kind of keep placing really, really high emphasis on the words and looking for that other person to validate, to reassure, to support, to make you believe in yourself. But in reality, that person is here all along. This person is you. So very much continue learning, continue playing, continue expressing yourself, and work on trusting your knowledge and your gifts. And your gifts are plenty, right? Like the gifts are your curiosity, your knowledge, your ability to adapt to other people and support other people and encourage other people's ideas. Like you're very kind of powerful at helping other people understand themselves and express themselves, because the twins is connected to Gemini, making it really good for you to speak. If you're struggling with communication, check out my Mercury in Gemini candle. This is really good for expression, verbalizing ideas, speaking up. Highly, highly recommended, especially also since we get Mercury retrograde 3 times a year. You can also use that in that period. And if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can ask me questions about your natal chart, or you can make this reading more predictive or relationship oriented. We can talk about whatever your heart desires. Moving on to Chiron in Cancer. So with Chiron in Cancer, there is a wound of belonging, and there's a wound of feeling at home a lot of times, as well as the wound of not feeling properly nurtured, or the wound connected to mother figures. So Cancer is the sign of security and nurturance and connection. So when you have Chiron representing the wound in that sign, somehow the nurturance was missing, or there wasn't enough nurturance, or it was conditional, or the parent was like too controlling and smothering. So on some level, you know, you maybe have grown up with a parent, specifically more likely mother, because it's Cancer sign, that have been like, you know, either not there, or too controlling, or too sort of conditional in their way of showing love. You may have also not felt quite comfortable at your home. Maybe you didn't feel secure. Maybe you weren't like understood. Maybe there is some kind of, you know, dysfunction in your family, and then you feel like it's up to you to heal that wound and to improve your family dynamics. Well, in reality, I think it's more about like self-healing, because you can't heal every single dysfunction around you. But you are gifted with this placement with true love for other people. So much warmth, so much nurturance. More than anybody else, you know how to take care of other people. You know how to support them through difficult times, and you can help, you can like create people around you feel at home. You make them feel at home. But once again, you struggle feeling at home. You struggle feeling supported. You struggle feeling safe and understood. And so the way of working with this energy is learning to create a home for yourself, right? It's always that lesson. I think you can't put a mask on somebody else before putting a mask on yourself. So you use that ability to nurture other people, and you practice applying it to yourself, starting with creating a comfortable home. Surround yourself with warm blankets, with pillows, with kind of cozy music, right? Nurture yourself. Sometimes Chiron and Cancer, because Cancer also represents like nurturing through food, can create body issues and nutrition issues and some kind of like body dysmorphia, especially if it's like in the first house. So some of the ways of like healing Chiron could also be feeding your body properly, taking time, right? Like not rushing when you take care of yourself, not thinking that there's somebody else that needs your help. Like prioritize you, take care of you, make a meal, take a moment, figure out, pick like ingredients, touch them, feel them, and create that sense of nurturance. Don't expect, other people will reflect the energy you're projecting. So the more you're secure within yourself, the more you're happy within yourself, the more other people will reflect that energy back at you. And if you want some astrological help, highly recommend my Sunlight in a Jar candle, because that is very sort of warm and invigorating, as well as even more so probably Moon in Cancer candle. This is the second edition. The first one was sold out. Moon in Cancer is perfect for nurturing and soothing, and Sunlight in a Jar is more, I think, like about creating kind of like more brightness in your life and more optimism, while Moon in Cancer is about more like nurturance, support, and inner contentment when you feel like the world maybe is not giving you what you seek. And if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I offer natal consultations, predictive year ahead readings, relationship readings, and more. Check out my website for that. Next, if you are born with Chiron in Leo, the wound here is related to confidence, to creativity, and to visibility. Leo is the sign of I have arrived. It's the sign of royalty. It's the sign of beauty, right? It's the sign of shining your light. So when you're born with Chiron in Leo, you may have grown up in an environment where you didn't get a chance to shine. Maybe you tried to express yourself, but there was no time. You had to take care of your siblings. Maybe you tried to be playful and your parents said that you're just too attention hungry. And so you had to suppress those qualities. You had to struggle expressing those qualities, or like you're struggling expressing those qualities. Someone may have doubted your creativity, right? Like somebody may have been critical in your life and expressed doubt that you're now feeling internally. You're maybe placing a lot of emphasis on what other people think of you and have fears of being embarrassing, of giving the wrong impression, of doing the wrong thing. Like the wound here can also be connected to not being willing to take risks. It's almost like if I'm not great at it, I don't think I want to waste my time, right? So you are learning how to embrace yourself fully, how to express yourself truly, right? Without this doubt and second guessing and questioning things. Because that is one of your greatest gifts, actually. You have the power to make other people just be so confident in themselves. You are so supportive. You're so warm. You're so kind of powerful at supporting the underdog and speaking for the rights of other people while you're struggling applying the same lessons to yourself. So instead of just dedicating this energy towards helping others and encouraging other people and like teaching other people how to embrace your creativity, focus on your own creativity. Write, paint. You don't have to do it in front of other people. You don't have to show it to anyone. You can just do it to feed your inner child, right? You're meant to connect with the child within. And playing with other kids or having kids could be highly healing for you too, because they would allow you to see what else is out there, right? Like they can show you that pure, playful, not second guessing themselves energy, right? At some point we lose this childlike wonder. So having kids could remind you of what it's like to have childlike wonder. And worrying less about other people think, even if you slowly start by doing things without letting other people think, see them, it's still about, I think, eventually going beyond that and starting to feel happy in your skin, even if you're not approved of by other people. If you're looking for astrological support, check out my magical candle store. Sunlight in a Jar will be perfect for you because it highlights the sun in Leo, and people born with Chiron in Leo are missing that confident, bright solar energy. So highly, highly recommend. And for those who wants to know more, book a reading on my website, Anastasia.astrology.com, so we can dive into your natal chart, talk about your future, or talk about your relationships. It's up to you which reading you choose. Now, if you're born with Chiron in Virgo, so those born with Chiron in Virgo may struggle with the wound of their self-worth and the wound of perfectionism. There might always just be like a sense that something about them is not perfect. Something about them is wrong and incomplete, messy, unclean. Cleanliness. This is literally could be like, you might be obsessed with cleanliness to a point of like washing yourself extra long and worrying about your appearance and sort of freaking out if you have lint on your clothes. Of course, a lot of it can come from a parent. If you had a parent that constantly told you to straighten up, to get your hair clean or to get yourself clean, like you just, that voice can play out in your head, creating a more distorted sense of self. People with this placement may struggle with hypochondria, maybe like body dysmorphia, feel like they need to lean into like plastic surgery to improve themselves, like very kind of like unreasonable standards a lot of times comes with it. It's like Virgo, but Virgo went wrong, right? Like completely wrong. And of course, not everyone will have it in the most like dramatic sense. Sometimes maybe it's just connected with you feeling like you could always do better. But it's important to learn to accept yourself. It's important to learn to see the perfection in the imperfection. You don't have to get everything, magical and absolutely perfect every single time. You can start by taking good care of your body, by nurturing yourself, by making sure it's not just the outside perfection, but it's like internally you have good routines, you have good structures in your life, you have good nutrition, and that is enough, right? It doesn't have to be like some kind of extreme level of perfection in life. You may struggle with criticism, and the criticism can spill into your life where other people might feel like you're being really critical of them. You may also struggle relaxing and just kind of going with the flow because you're constantly thinking and analyzing, and the mind is really strong. So once again, working on loving yourself, working on spending time in nature, helping other people, healing yourself, healing your gut, healing your health, healing your body, and then using that to improve other people's lives and making other people feel more supported and understood, because you are a true person of service. You can be really kind and supportive and generous to other people, but if you're not happy within, it's really hard to help other people be happy too. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and we can dive in and talk about your placements, about your chart, and about your future or relationships. It's up to you. If you were born with Chiron in Libra, there is a wound related to relationships and connecting with other people. Sometimes Chiron and Libra people can have a parental relationship that was kind of wounded and flawed. Maybe one of the parents wasn't there. Maybe the parents were there, but they never fought, and the mother would always say, don't fight, don't express yourself. Maybe you haven't dated for a long time and you're feeling like something is wrong with you, like you're unlovable or you are undateable. So it's very much, that like the scales, the balance, the relationship energy of Libra that I think is present here, and the sense of like missing something and loneliness that is very powerful, that no matter whether you are in a relationship or alone, you may always feel like you're missing that soulmate, you're missing that true connection. Like, you may be in a relationship and you're trying really, really hard to make things work, but it's not working, and then you're feeling deeply sad because the person perhaps doesn't understand you. On the other level, you may struggle, if you're like, take it a different way, you may struggle with commitment because maybe you're looking for someone perfect for you and you feel like nobody is. I think relationships are definitely a big point of focus here, and you are also likely someone who can be like a great counselor and a great therapist, couples therapist. You are very good at making other people feel seen. You're really good at giving relationship advice, but once again, the wound suggests you do not apply it to yourself. You may be really good at like helping other people connect, but you don't feel like anyone can fully understand you. So the first step to healing this placement is recognizing that what you're missing is likely love from yourself, that there is not a single person or any other outside influence that will come in and heal you, right? On a deep level, you are love and you are all the people around you, but you're also you, and you need to work on healing yourself. You need to work on being happy alone on some level, right? And I know for Libra placements, it's pretty hard to understand that, but if you feel happy with yourself, if you feel like you have things that make you excited, if you're making art, right? Very Libra. If you have friendships, if you have things that make you feel passionate and excited, then it's easier to connect with the other person when you're not placing too much weight on them being the healer of you. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I also highly recommend my Venus in Libra 2 candle for anyone born with their Chiron in Libra, because this is the powerful Venus in the sign of rulership. It smells delicious, honeysuckle jasmine. It's decorated with gemstones connected to Venus, so could be a perfect match for you. If you were born with your Chiron in Scorpio, your wound is likely connected to trust, death, and vulnerability. For some reason, you have gone through, you're very sensitive. You're very deeply sensitive with this placement. And there may have been betrayals in your life, or difficult relationship experiences, or loss and death and trauma, and they have affected you so deeply that you are now either extremely fascinated with death, or you're just so scared of change and death and loss that you have closed yourself from almost like even connecting with the universe and opening yourself up to positive changes and to positive developments, right? Like you may hold on to people in your life really tightly, or you may hold on to your independence and sort of not let people in, not let anyone come into your life because of that fear of being disappointed, right? You may feel misunderstood. You may feel like you see the world as a darker place. You may be sort of more prone to obsessive thoughts and darker moods, and just maybe even like seeing the world through a more dark, through a more dark lens. On the positive, right, this could also be suggestive of you having like a really deep connection to the other world, to the world of death. Potentially you can be like a death doula, right, which is, someone recently commented down there about it, and I think I've heard about it. But you can also be the person who guides other people through traumatic events and through challenging situations, and you can offer powerful advice. So the lesson is that you also need to learn to apply that advice to yourself. You need to learn to trust that no matter the turbulent events in life, no matter what happens, you will be okay. And also trust in the immortal nature of your soul. I believe that our soul, comes back around, and we like never fully die, because the energy doesn't really ever completely disappear. So working on trusting, working on believing, using your intuition to sort through people that are coming into your life, but then allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be open, learning to like surrender, learning to let go of control, learning to trust other people. You can also benefit from sexual healing, because Scorpio rules sex and intimacy. It rules sexual organs. So sometimes there might also be like a little bit of issues there. Either you're not expressing your fully sexual nature, or you are maybe going wild with it, and also like not allowing yourself to connect on a deeper level, but just experimenting a lot. So working on like sexual healing and honoring intimacy and getting in touch with your feminine energy or your masculine energy could be quite helpful. As well as, crying, taking hot showers, hot baths, working on trusting yourself, doing shadow work, pulling tarot cards. All of those things can be helpful for you too. For Scorpio Chiron people, I highly recommend my Mars Kazemi candle. It was created with Mars and Scorpio conjunct the sun. So it's highly potent, and it's powerful for helping you achieve things, for expressing your sexuality, for sticking through things and dealing with challenge in a more kind of powerful, hopeful, strong way. On my website, you can find these candles, and you can also book a reading to take a look at your natal chart. I can answer any of your questions and help you understand yourself or understand your future. If you were born with Chiron in Sagittarius, your wound is likely connected to faith and belief, and maybe even optimism. But like faith could be connected to faith in yourself, faith in your abilities. So people born with this placement could have grown up in a highly opinionated household or a very religious home, and then maybe have experienced the different side of the church or the different side of organized religion, or even, even sort of turned away from their family's beliefs or their story of origin and had that sense of like losing their identity, not being quite sure who they are. They can be afraid, I think, also of being pulled back into that kind of environment of like, they really value their independence, they really value their freedom. But a lot of it sometimes is driven by fear, right? If you're just looking at Sagittarius placements, yes, they're freedom-loving, independent, but when you have Chiron in there, there is like a wound connected to freedom and independence because maybe you weren't allowed to be free and independent as a kid. You weren't allowed to think your own thoughts. And so now you're just placing so much emphasis on it to a point that it's limiting true connection with other people because you choose to cut and run if things don't go your way or if things feel a little bit too kind of limiting. So as a result, you may kind of go through, this like sense of like separating yourself, trying to choose your freedom, but also feeling pessimistic, feeling like you're losing things or you're chasing something. Like, I think that's also very Sagittarian, just sort of feeling like your happiness is out there and it's connected to the next job, it's connected to the next trip. And so you're kind of going from one thing to another, and feeling the lack of deep meaning behind it, like feeling like you don't quite have that innate sense of confidence or self-understanding. And so the way to work with this one is very much learning to find the answers within. It's all about, I think, trying to understand yourself. It's about meditation, it's about yoga, it's about learning things, it's about practicing being in the present moment and trying to feel happy in the present moment. I think the more you are able to trust and work on your faith, it doesn't have to be religious faith, it could be faith in astrology, it could be faith in your friendships, it could be faith in philosophy. The tighter, the happier, the closer your relationships will become, and there will be like less fear of being kind of tied down or controlled like you have been at some point in your life. Your gifts are that you're really good at cheering other people on. You're really good at making other people feel happy and optimistic. So now the goal is to work on believing and creating optimism within yourself. If you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. We can do a natal chart reading and dive into your natal promise, your karmic purpose, your career, relationship energy. We can do a predictive reading, or we can look at your relationship and break that down. If you were born with Chiron and Capricorn, the wound here has to do with achievement and the way you look at achievement and success and recognition. You may also have a strong fear of judgment. So people born with this placement may have grown up in an environment where they were only appreciated or congratulated or encouraged to be successful, right? Like Capricorn actually is connected to authority and father figures. So there may be like a wounded relationship with father figures or authority, right? Like definitely like parents who were expecting a lot from you, but maybe not always recognizing your achievements. And so you've always felt like you had to prove yourself. Or even, maybe you were like punished sometimes for your failures. So the sense of validation was all skewed because like you weren't valued for being yourself and you weren't even always valued for accomplishing things. And so that creates in an adult this sense of like needing to prove yourself at work, needing to get recognition of your bosses, needing to get appreciation. And then a sense of like constant potentially disappointment because other people can't give you that. satisfaction. Other people are struggling with their own Chiron placements, right? They might knowingly or unknowingly hurt your feelings and not recognize you, or they might be doing their own thing and you feel like, yeah, but I've done so much, why are you not appreciating me? So instead of fixating on how much other people love or support of you, you are learning to build self-respect. You are learning to, like, I think just recognizing that you're maybe chasing that recognition that you didn't receive as a kid and working on being the person that gives you that recognition, the person that gives you that validation. So like listening to your own voice, trusting your intuition, celebrating your accomplishments without waiting for other people to celebrate you. Buy yourself a piece of cake every time you accomplish something good. Finding a better work-life balance, right? Not just work nonstop. And also maybe being more like kind of setting better boundaries in terms of work and in terms of who you help. If you feel like people are not appreciating you and just taking advantage of you, maybe it's the time to make a change of job, right? Or to not put as much effort in if you feel like the person is not appreciating extra effort and the effort you've been putting in the past is enough. Your gifts are connected to delegating, to being a really good manager, to helping other people feel seen and appreciated. And so you could be really good as like a mentor, teacher, coach, guide, maybe even being the person who helps others figure out their career instead of focusing so much on your career. Like you can get the reward from seeing people you have worked with succeed. If you want some help, check out my Saturn and Aquarius candle. This is perfect for anyone who has any Saturnian issues, and Chiron and Capricorn is very Saturnian, so highly recommend that. If you have any questions, you can also book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and we can dive into your chart, give you more guidance, help you see the year to come, or talk about your relationship. If you were born with Chiron and Aquarius, your wound is connected to feeling like an outsider and not fitting in. Aquarius is by nature the sign of the outsider, the sign that doesn't follow convention, breaks away from the rules, questions the norm. But I think when your Chiron is in Aquarius, all of that just feels really lonely. You are different. You may have grown up differently. You may have struggled to feel connected. Maybe you grew up with, you were of a different nationality in a place full of other sort of nationality people, or you didn't speak the language, or you grew up with a disability. Like something about you may make you feel like you're just different. You're an outsider. You're isolated somehow. And so that desire to fit in, that desire to be like objective and a good friend and give back to your community is very strong, but you may feel like other people are not recognizing you. So there might be pain when it comes to friendships. There might be pain when it comes to your sense of community, a sense of belonging. You may also, because you have Chiron and Aquarius, you may kind of struggle getting in touch with your feelings and sort of choose to rationalize things or push the emotions away. At times, you may choose to act rashly and be rebellious and be like, whatever, you don't give me what I want, I'm not going to give you what you want either. So you got to be careful that you don't just, go out, like act out of that desire to rebel, act out of your frustrations. On the positive, you have a very unique and original point of view. And you are really good at making other people feel seen, accepted, and valued. And so you can be very, very good at creating a community of outsiders, right? That's also, I think, like the healing lesson here is like, if you're an outsider, that's okay. We're all somehow outsiders, but you don't have to be a victim of being an outsider. You can find people who are also isolated. It doesn't have to be a big community, right? Like if you feel like your family doesn't accept you or your classmates don't accept you, find people who do. It could be one, could be two, but you will make each other feel seen and appreciated. And focus on accepting yourself, focus on recognizing your gifts and appreciating how different you are, and knowing that the world needs people like this. A lot of breakthroughs and inventions are made by people like you. So it's your strength, it's not your weakness. And if you want astrological help, I highly recommend my Saturn in Aquarius candle, because you're born with Chiron in Aquarius, and Saturn in Aquarius has that ability to like be detached but also be productive. That candle also has Saturn conjunct Venus, so it's very social, it's very friendly, and very good for getting things done. Also, if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and we'll take a look at your unique chart, and I will answer any questions you might have. Now, if you were born with Pisces Chiron, if your Chiron is in Pisces, the wound here has to do with self-sacrifice and a sense of disillusionment. Here we are, similarly with Sagittarius, we're once again in the Jupiter's domain, but here it's boundless Jupiter. Here it's feminine yin Jupiter, right? So when that feminine, that yin, the trusting energy is wounded, the tendency is either to be overly protective or to give to a point that other people do not like, you give so much that you lose yourself. So like questions of boundaries, issues surrounding boundaries, surrounding emotions. Like I said, either you just like protect yourself because you feel very deeply and you don't want other people to see how emotional you are, or you are just like this martyr, someone who gives off themselves, who takes care of other people, who jumps in when other people need help. But as a result, you feel like other people do not do that for you, and that is disillusionment, and that is frustrating. That is not feeling good, because you run to rescue them, but they don't return the favor. They don't run to rescue you. So you need to be mindful with this placement too of like dealing with frustration via escapism and, drinking or other sort of ways of like partying or having fun, unhealthy ways of partying and having fun. So instead, you're meant to learn how to express your energy, express your frustrations in a healthy way. It could be through volunteering, helping animals. Helping animals always show love and affection, right? Like dogs are the biggest love balls out there. Or you can also express your energy through creativity. But I think the biggest lesson is like learning to have those boundaries, learning to look after your interests first, and then offering your help to others, because you cannot also be good at healing other people if you yourself aren't healed. And then once you have, tapped into self-love and you have taken care of yourself, you can really be a powerful healer, be very supportive. You just need to make sure you're not giving of yourself and losing yourself in the process. So yeah, watch out for self-sabotage, watch out for giving too much of yourself, to being too self-protective, to playing don't play a victim. Make sure that you believe and you work on believing that the universe has your back. And if you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I do natal chart reading, year ahead readings, and relationship readings. So definitely check that out. And thank you for watching. I'm trying to do more videos that are kind of more general and apply to anyone interested in astrology versus more predictive horoscope type readings. I hope you like them. If you have any more suggestions on the things I should talk about, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.